And just like that, we're back for the second night of the MJHL Roundtable, session number 3. I'm your host, Leah Hextall, and as you can see, I am sitting here with 2 members of the New York Islanders. He is the head coach, Barry Trotz, Stanley Cup champion, 2-time winner of the Jack Adams Trophy, but it all started in the Manitoba Junior Hockey League with the Dauphin Kings. Coach Trotz was here last night, and then the pride of Grandview, Manitoba, defenseman for the Islanders. It's Ryan Pulock, who spent his junior days patrolling the blue line as captain of the Brown and Wheat Kings. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us here tonight on the MJHL Roundtable. We sure do appreciate your time.
Thank you.
All right, so I just want to let everybody know, for all those who are registered tonight and tuning in, this is a fundraiser for the Manitoba Junior Hockey League and its 11 teams. There is a chance to donate. You can do $1, $10, $20, whatever you might be able to do for us. It's all in COVID-19 relief. As we know, the season is on pause. Didn't get the playoffs this year, but hopefully hockey will be back very healthy soon. And I know you two guys are going to be getting at it fairly soon, as well as the NHL continues to go forward. But before we get to this, let's go back and start at the beginning. Coach Trotz, we were just chatting about this, and I'm gonna go right to this because I had such a laugh, so we got to get this out. Your coaching career, as I mentioned, started in the Manitoba Junior Hockey League with the Dauphin Kings. You were the head coach, the GM. Take us into that experience and what life was like for Barry Trotz back then.
Well, I was actually working as an assistant coach at the University of Manitoba. I was working and taking classes, and I got a call from the Kings executive. They were looking for a head coach and GM, and usually they call a local kid when they're in a little bit of a hole. So my future wife, she talked to her and she said, you know, why don't you give it a shot? Do you want to do that anyway? So I packed up, and they paid me $1,000 a month. I had to move back into mom and dad's house and live in the basement for a bit. And I had to pick up a part-time job at a clothing store, make ends meet. So that was my start in the Manitoba Junior Hockey League. We had a very young team. I think our team we had 3 20-year-olds, and the rest of the league, or the rest of the team was 17 years old or younger. So I had 2 15-year-olds, I think Wade Bartley and Kerry Angus were their names. And then we started out, and that's where I started. So in Dauphin, Manitoba, as coach and GM, and I think we built it up. We got it out of debt and got it rolling.
Coach and GM / men's clothing store worker. What clothing store, and what was your specialty? I mean, what were you really good at getting off the rack there?
Well, it was Bay's Menswear right on Main Street, and I was really good at actually suits, believe it or not, which I have to wear a lot of them. So picking ties for the suits was my thing. Everybody would want to go old school, and I'd get them up to at least to the mark of. I worked there probably in the 80s, so whatever was popular in the 80s, I remember the thinner ties were coming in, so I was getting those guys into that. So
there you go. So now, Ryan, you know where to go when you're picking out your suits. If you need any advice, you just go to your head coach. He's got you. He's got you, kid. That's great. Yeah. So one thing about that, Barry, before we move on from Dauphin, I mean, here you are now, Stanley Cup champion, as I mentioned, you know, this head coaching career in the NHL, which has been so successful. But is there anything that you took away from your junior days that is still part of your foundation as a head coach in the National Hockey League?
Well, I think the number one thing is you try to get people that are, you know, you want to buy in, but you want people of good character and that. And I when I got there, actually, one of the first guys I got rid of was one of the guys that I actually played with. Because I didn't think he was the right elk for what we were trying to do. And we had a young team. So just trying to do what's right, not necessarily what's popular. And it wasn't really popular in Dauphin, even, you know, there was a couple of local boys that had to move on. So unfortunately, that's, you know, if you're going to build a team, you're trying to do it the right way. It starts with the people.
Part of the business. That's exactly it. And I'm just thinking, so Ryan, you spent your junior career, as many people in Manitoba know, as a member of the Brown and Wheat Kings. You made it as a 16-year-old, which is a rarity in the Western League. And then your last 2 years there, you were the captain and almost a point per game player for the team. What do you remember your time about the Wheat City?
Well, had a lot of good memories, I guess. Obviously, probably the big thing for me is coming in at 16, being able to stay close to home and live with family, that kind of helped me get comfortable and get off on the right foot. So, I was pretty fortunate to be able to play at 16 and then be able to play, in the home province, Manitoba, throughout my whole junior career was really big for me.
And what do you think as a junior player, when you look back at now as an NHLer, what do you wish that, maybe you didn't take so for granted back in the day?
Well, I don't know. I just think junior hockey is some of the funnest times of your life. You're young, you're riding a bus with kind of all your best friends, and you're basically spending like all that time together. So, once you turn pro and guys have families, you maybe don't, you're not together as much as you are in junior. But, those are some of the memories that, I'll kind of always remember is just, being with your best friends, like pretty much 24 hours a day, riding the bus and going to school and just kind of grinding it all out together.
Well, the days have changed, and now you're an NHLer. You're coached by Barry Trotz, and I was just telling you guys before we started, I don't think I've ever sat down with a current player and coach together. So you know that I got to have a little fun with you right now because this is such a rarity for me. So I was going to come on here and I was going to say, hey, Coach Trotz, tell me about Ryan. Ryan, tell me about Barry, but forget that. We're going to go the other direction. So I'll start with you, Coach Trotz. If Ryan was asked, what is Barry Trotz like? And he knew that you'd never find out, what do you think he'd say about you?
Wow. He doesn't know anything about me. And he's not a good dresser.
Oh.
No, he's not a good dresser. He picks bad suits.
Good ties, though.
Yeah, good ties, though.
There you go. There you go. Okay, well, in the other, I'm going to turn it around. So, Rye, if Coach Trotz never thought you'd hear it, what do you think he'd say about you from a coaching perspective?
Oh, I don't know. I'm pretty quiet, so it'd be hard to pick something about that, but maybe something about hitting the net with my shot or something.
Oh, okay.
I'm going away from the game. I'm just saying I wish he would just sing. Just sing. He's so quiet. Good pro, but he's quiet, as he says.
Okay, so I'm going to give you the time now, Ryan, to flatter your coach. I mean, obviously, Coach Trotz came in. He came over to you guys after his time in Washington, comes in off of a Stanley Cup win. As a player, when you have a coach like that coming into New York and that coaching change, what was your expectation of Coach Trotz, and how was that transition for you?
Well, I think obviously when I took over the job, guys were pretty excited, just having that experience, and we needed some guidance as a team. Obviously, our defensive side of the game was fairly poor prior to that, so we knew that there was going to be areas that he was going to help us, get better, and it was going to give us a chance to win. And I guess if you look back to last year and this year, that's kind of what happened. Is we basically had the same team, but we just had that right guidance, and we're able to clean up our game, and we're going to have a pretty good team going forward and have a chance at winning a Stanley Cup down the road.
Ryan, when you do have a new coach coming in, just for you and all the guys, is there a little bit of, I got to show this guy what I can do, or is it more so I'm going to try to be wallpaper right now and see what happens?
No, I think everyone, when you have a coaching change like that, I haven't been part of it a little bit, but you're trying to, show what you can do and trying to prove, what kind of role you belong in, what kind of role you deserve. And, it kind of gives you another opportunity. If some guys are in a certain role for quite a while and you have a new coach come in, it gives you an opportunity to try to maybe get a better role or move up in the lines and stuff. So there's a friendly competition involved, I think, if that happens, then you can really use that to your advantage.
Well, you must be doing something right, because right now, when the season was paused, you were leading the aisles in defensive scoring. But, Coach, I have to turn to you now. You come over from Washington on the highest of high, the ultimate, winning a Stanley Cup champion, and here you go into a new team. What was your perspective as you were heading into the New York Islanders organization?
I didn't have a lot of I would say a lot of footage. It was with my daughter was getting married in Hawaii, and, cup date, and putting that together, and then going on to a new team. Um, I didn't, I wish I would have spent a lot more, but I put a lot of hours with what I had of the Islanders. And my first perspective of the Islanders, I didn't think the goaltending was very strong. I didn't think the defense was very strong, and I thought the forwards were really strong. There's a saying in my one of my goalie coaches, Mitch Korn, has always told me, "You don't know till you own it." And when I got there, I found out that my goaltending was much better than I thought it was going to be. Our defense core is way better than I thought it would be, and our forwards need some work. So it was really hard to evaluate based on the style of play that they were playing. It was really hard to evaluate the individual skill because collectively there was a little bit of a dysfunction, I felt, that didn't support the strengths of their game.
And when you say dysfunction, Coach, can you take us into that a little bit about what you mean by that?
Well, it's not probably it's a harsh word, dysfunction, but everything has to be connected. Whatever you do with the puck, there's a consequence. If you don't make the right decision, or you make a poor decision, or you make a great play, there's always that. But you have to be connected, and the guys will tell you got to be connected in all three zones. You turn the puck over, you have to have a plan to get it back. You have to have protocols in place so that you're insulated from being exposed. And I thought they weren't insulating each other enough. So Ryan is a terrific defenseman, but it didn't show that he was a terrific defenseman because he wasn't getting support from the protocols and the responsibilities of, say, the forwards or different situations. There wasn't defined protocols. So try to put a lot of those in so that those are your safety blankets. When everything gets chaotic, there's a difference between playing, checking and defending. And you can check to be playing well defensively by checking well, or you can defend well. And defending is just trying not to get scored on. And when we're defending really well, we can get the play stopped, get up ice, turn it into a half ice game real quickly. When we're not, we end up spending some time in our zone, and then we're just defending. But we do it really well. So that's sort of our security blanket when things do break down.
And Ryan, do you notice a difference since Coach Trotz took over and his staff and the way that not only just the team is playing, but have you noticed anything else for yourself individually?
Yeah, for sure. I think kind of some of what he said, just having more support. I think at times before, wherever I've been, when you're not as structural defensively, little mistakes can, turn into big mistakes, whereas now those little mistakes, you have help or there's other layers of defense to kind of protect you. And it's kind of just allows you to, have more confidence and play the game without worrying about making mistakes. And I think you're a better player when you do that.
I just want to make sure that everybody knows out there who's viewing, there is a chance for you in the Q&A section to ask your questions to Coach Trotz and also Ryan, so please feel free to do so. And my next question for you, Coach, and we had this come to us when we sent it out on social media to ask you guys tonight, is how do you coach the greatest goal scorer of all time when it comes to Alexander Ovechkin?
Alex, obviously I didn't know much about Alex. I mean, he played in the other conference for so many years, and then you hear all the stories about Alex. You watch him play, you coach against him, and he's larger than life. So my first thing that I did is I flew to Vegas for the awards, and I sat down with him, and I just had, I think it was 50 questions, and learning about him and all that, and trying to create a little bit of a relationship. One of the things I said to him is I said, my job is to get the team back in the playoffs. My job is to try to help you become a better player, better leader, better, all the things that you want to grow in areas. And we talked about different areas. So one of the things, the first thing that I told him, he got put over to the right side and he's a right shot, and he plays the left side most of his career. And the year before, the coach put him on the right side because he felt it would be more natural for him to play defense, and it is, because you naturally come in that way. But I said I was moving him over to the left side real simply because what he does on the left side, I'll take the goals any day of the week based on. I said to him, I can't teach you what you do because you are the best I've ever seen at doing it. But when we do, I'll leave you over on the left side as long as you, with one caveat. The caveat was, when we don't have the puck, we're going to have a plan, and you're going to be part of the plan to get it back quicker so that you can have it more, so we can score more goals. And he bought into that. And then we talked about, you know, the struggles that we've had in Washington over the years through the playoffs, that we were going to get through that. We're going to win a cup together, and here's how we were going to do it. So it took us probably a year longer than we expected. But he's become a really good captain, really good family guy. And he's not worried about the outcome as much as he is worried about the process. And once he got rid of that about, you know, the outcome of not winning a cup or winning a cup or beating the Penguins, all that, it freed him up, and he won the Conn Smythe because of it.
So, Coach, I don't know if this is a true story, but I had somebody tell me this, so I'm just going to ask you. But, you know, you're talking about Alexander Ovechkin. He's won how many Art Ross trophies? He's just one of the greatest players to play the game. But I was told that when you started coaching him, that you said to him, I need more from you. And you weren't talking about goals, but you were talking about those other parts of the game. Yeah. Is that, because I have to say, sir, you know, you've got a set on you to be able to go and tell the greatest goal scorer in the world that I need more from you.
Well, Ryan will tell you, sometimes I say stuff that is on the edge a little bit, but I think I just try to be myself and be honest in terms of what I'm trying to say. I'm not trying to be you know, vindictive or anything like that. I just want to help the player and help him see what maybe you can't see. Sometimes you can't see the forest for the trees, or sometimes you just need a little push in certain directions. And Alex was good. Alex was really actually very easy to coach. You know, you hear rumors about different players around the league, and the rumors. And Alex was actually easy to coach. You have to be patient at times, but you have to understand that he thinks a little different than us. My son went to Russia for 3 years. That helped me understanding the Russian culture a little bit. And I think I have a good relationship with Alex to this day. And I think that'll always be, because I think we've done something together, winning a cup. And one thing about Alex is that he just wants honesty. He doesn't want you to, you know, you don't have to beat around the bushes. Just tell him what you want, and he'll do it. He may not agree, but he'll do it if he's got that buy-in.
Yeah, he's one of the most passionate players I've ever seen, especially when he's playing for his country. I think there's a lot of misconceptions about that. But Ryan, I'm just wondering, does Coach Trotz put you on the ice when Alexander Ovechkin's on the ice, or is that
always?
Yeah.
Always? Oh wow, good for
always.
You. I'm just bugging you. Okay, so I wanted to just go from this. So I have a question here that I wanted to take, and Ryan, it is for you. And it says, Ryan, what advice do you have for minor hockey players during the pandemic?
Well, I think, I guess it's kind of everything that we're trying to do too, is just stay busy, stay active. Obviously, I think this is almost a good opportunity for kids to work on other skills, whether it be other sports or different things at home, to, you know, work on that sort of thing, hand-eye coordination, different things like that. And then there's obviously the hockey side of it, where you can, you know, do some strengthening stuff. You can, you know, work on your shot or your mobility, stuff like that. But I think with the lockdown that we had, and obviously things are starting to open up, but I think it was a good opportunity for kids being able to be kids and to play other sports and, you know, just be outside and stay active and just have fun.
Yeah, and Ryan, you just touched on that, playing other sports, and I know you did as a kid growing up. You played ball, didn't you, growing up? I think, if I'm not mistaken. And Coach Trotz, I wanted to maybe get your opinion on that too, because we see it now, and I think it's a really hard place for parents to be, because you can play hockey all year round. It's out there for you. If I don't put my kid in this hockey camp in the summer, he might lose a competitive edge. But, what are those other skills besides, skills, talent, that, you think maybe kids could get from not playing hockey all year round?
Well, I always say this to my sister. She might even be on this. I don't know. But she has a couple boys, and I just tell them that the best athletes always play. You just some good athletes, and in the summer, if you get the chance to play baseball and experience baseball, soccer, the processing skills for all those sports help you in hockey. I always, for most, I'll say parents, my advice, if I had young children, I was doing it at this time, they would play other sports and they would go to skill sessions maybe once or twice a week, work on their skills, not these tournaments and these games. I'm not a big believer in that. I think the experiences that we grew up, and probably Ryan too, because we're sort of from the same area, we got to experience, baseball and maybe soccer and some of the other sports that you don't get to experience, but it does help you in the game. It helps you become a better athlete, and I think that's really important. You can still do all your skill stuff in the garage, all that, and then a skills coach on the ice once or twice a week. That's all you need, and you'll be better for it.
Ryan, do you think it helped you playing other sports growing up in your hockey career?
Yeah, I believe it did. I think like Trotzy said, there's different skills, there's different, it helps you become that better athlete overall. And I think when you add all that into hockey, it's just going to make you better. And, I think from the mental side of it too, it's good to not just always think hockey, and have a bit of a break. And be able to enjoy some baseball, the outdoors, soccer, golf, or whatever it might be, and just have that opportunity to just be a kid and not be 12 months of the year focused on one thing.
Well, we had that question about advice during a pandemic, but the fact is, for you guys, get ready. It looks like you're going back to work not too far away here. July 10th, the NHL is going to move into its next phase, and it looks like that's when training camps are going to open up for the NHL. And, that's an off season. We've been paused since the middle of March. So, Barry, how do you go into this as a coach with your staff to suddenly not just flip a switch to get back? Because this isn't preseason. It's not like you got, preseason, it's game 1 of 82. You got to go back and you got to get ready to play playoffs. So, what's that challenge like for you in this unprecedented time?
Well, I don't know how it's going to play out. I think it's going to be exciting once we get to play. I think there's going to be a lot of surprises, just like there is every start of every season. There's a team that comes out of the blocks great. There's teams that struggle out of the blocks. So it's going to be new to everybody. I think the teams that can get to their identity, their game, the quickest, will have the best chance. But then it's also going to be goaltending related. I had the opportunity, obviously, I was up in Canada here for a while, and they were replaying the old World Cup games. And I was part of that staff with Team Canada. And I started watching them, and we got outplayed. If it wasn't for Carey Price, we probably don't beat that European team. And so goaltending, the goaltender that gets hot real quick, that'll be a surprise. So I've tried to, and Ryan will get to see it when we get back. I'm going to try to get our team to worry about us. And we'll look at the Florida Panthers who we're playing, and we'll have a plan for them. But we're going to have to work on our foundational game real quickly and get to that and get our skill levels to where it is. And there'll be a little bit of a change. I know Ryan has dreaded the last first day of training camp practices the last couple of years. So just like every player we have, but we'll probably take a little different approach just because guys are going to come in at different levels. Some guys have been skating a lot, some guys haven't. So we're going to have to be conscious of that. It looks like it's going to be 2 weeks of training camp. We're going to fly to a hub city and have a practice or two and maybe one exhibition game, and then you're going right into live bullets right after that.
Yeah, and so before I get to my question about how you're going to handle this, I want to know what happens in the first practice when you get back. Why do you drink?
It's not the funnest. There's a little bit of skating involved. We'll just say that.
Little bit. How much?
A little bit, a lot.
Okay.
It's. I think every team, NHL, junior, your started training camps are always the toughest days of the year. So it's just the way it is.
So that being said, Ryan, I mean, you've just like I said to Coach, you've had an off season as a player, and you've been here, if I'm not mistaken, you've been here in Manitoba during the pause. So obviously in Manitoba, we have been doing fairly well here. Things have opened up and we're doing well. But I mean, what's your training routine been like when you couldn't skate, and how have you been able to keep yourself in that physical shape and the mental shape to go back?
Yeah, I think, well, obviously when things shut down, it took a week or two to kind of lay back, relax, heal up. It's quite a grind of a season, so you kind of got to let the body heal. And then, as we started, a few weeks in, started to pick it back up, and it's definitely a different process because there was so much unknown on like if we were going back, when. If you look back to end of March, April, there was talks that it could be happening soon. Then so like you're just trying to prepare yourself to be ready. And now knowing a little more about kind of the timeline, just been in the gym and doing other things, trying to get in the best shape possible, and trying to prepare myself, mentally and physically to be basically ready to jump right into playoff hockey as we get back.
Yeah, and and I just look at it, and there's been a lot of debate, gentlemen, just about does whoever wins this Stanley Cup, as long as everything goes according to plan, because we know that the virus is in control, but for those who win, will there need to be that asterisk? Will it feel like you won the Stanley Cup? When you look at the fact that you're going to have to go to a hub city and how different this is going to be, like, have you guys thought about what it'll be like if you guys end up going deep and you're isolated for the next 2.5 months?
It won't change. We've been doing that we had lots of practice. We should be good.
There you go.
and when people talk about the asterisk on this playoff, I think the asterisk it's going to be the hardest playoff to win because of the everything's not going to be the same. If there's 3 games a day, you're going to play at 1 o'clock, at 4:30, at 8 or 7:30. You're going to be in the same hotels as the other teams. There's a lot of things that aren't going to be the same. And your guys are in a bubble and they have families, and a lot of guys have children at, this time of year, in the hockey world. They sort of plan that out so they don't miss any of that. So to me, when people say that, I think it's total bull. This is going to be the hardest one to win, but it's going to be in the shortest time, and it's going to be the hardest probably mentally and even physically, because guys are coming back from different sort of levels and where their training is at. So this one's going to be the hardest one to win, but it's going to be the shortest one.
Yeah, and Ryan, how do you feel about it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's a great opportunity for us as players to, have a chance at winning a Stanley Cup. And I think, like Trotzy said, just because you're going to have to go through the same grind as you normally would, it's obviously different, but you still have to win those games, and you still have to play, those teams. And if you win it all, then you are the best. You deserve to be the champion. So it's like I said, I think it's a really good opportunity for every guy. Obviously, I think it's basically pretty equal playing fields. Everyone's healthy. Everyone has all their best players healthy. There's no one's missing. So it's going to be a big challenge, but it's going to be kind of exciting too. To that you have a couple months here to really put the work in and have a chance at winning.
Okay, so now I know that as a team, you're used to being around each other a lot. That's the nature of the beast, especially when you're in the playoffs and you go deep. But I'm just wondering, because I have both of you here, who's going to be the most annoying guy that you have to be around on your team in these hub cities, who's going to drive you crazy by the end of it? It's just us.
I'm not going there. They're all my boys. Ryan, that's up to you. They're all my boys, so I'm not throwing anybody under the bus.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's hard to answer. And you know what? Actually, with our team, like I've obviously pretty young in my career, but you know, I've played on enough, you know, in the American League and junior, and like just the group of guys that we do have, like over the last few years, like we've all gotten along so well, and they're like that's never really been a problem. So I'm sure it actually with this time away from each other, these past few months, guys are going to be excited to get back together, and I don't know if we'll get sick of each other.
Yeah, I'll come back to you too after it's all done, and we'll see if you have a different.
It's probably me. It's probably.
So you guys, we're getting down here to the final minutes of this. I just wanted to take a few questions from our audience, if that's all right with both of you. And the first one, Ryan, is to you. So Craig is a 12-year-old player, and he's a defenseman. And he wants to know how you got your shot to be so good, or if it was just natural. And do you still work on it?
I think a little bit natural and a little bit by accident in terms of growing up in a small town. I basically had a key to the rink, so I was pretty much there all day, every day. So I would just be at the rink and I'd be shooting pucks, and that's just kind of what I did. And it wasn't that I was really doing it to get better. I just did that because that was fun for me. So I'm sure I learned a lot there, I guess, just kind of by teaching myself and whatnot. But and working on it still, yeah, I still, you know, after practice shoot a few pucks, and especially in the summer too, trying to get it dialed in.
All right. It is a pretty big clapper. You're known for it, kids. So I'm glad, but apparently you don't hit the net all the time, according to your coach. That's what I heard. So anyway.
You said it. I never said it.
Okay, I got another one here, and Coach, it's for you. This is from Brian, and he says, "Looking good, Trotzy. Share a great memory of Wayne Boomer Howrich, if I'm not saying that right. How much did you enjoy handing out new hockey sticks to players?" I'm sorry if I got.
Boomer Harish, Steve Harish, was really one of the primary people who brought the Kings to the prominent way back when. He was Mr. Hockey for when I was growing up. He had the players, you know, Butch Goring. He recruited Butch Goring to play in Dauphin, and Ron Lowe and people like that. And a lot of times he would have them stay at their house, and he was the guy that sort of brought Dauphin and kept the Kings there for a number of years. And when I became coach and GM, I always felt that Wayne or Steve should be part of the organization. And so I gave up some of my salary so that he would get a little bit of payment so that he could be a part of it. I always thought it was, he was the one that brought the Kings to Dauphin, and he was the one that sort of kept it afloat for so many years. And I thought it would only be right that he'd be a part of it. So he was just someone I could always bounce things off of. And he was old school. And because he always used to support the team basically by himself, and how many fans they had at the games, it was hard to get a stick out of him. So we had a budget, and he was sort of was hovering over the sticks a lot of times when someone you had to sort of lay it out there, see I'm done, like I need a new stick, and then he would get one for you and that type of thing. So Steve is legendary in Dauphin, and he's helped so many young players over the years, you know, way back when I was a young man.
That's great. That's great. Ryan, we got another question for you here. It's from Seamus, and he wants to know, who is the hardest player in the NHL to defend one-on-one, and why?
Obviously there's a lot. You know, there's so much talent in the game nowadays, but I think if you're looking straight one-on-one, you'd have to look at a guy like McDavid, just with his speed and his skill. You know, I think if you make a little mistake on defending, he's basically by you before you even have a chance to make up for it. So he would be probably one of the tougher guys, more so just because of his speed.
Ryan, do you have a memory? We see it sometimes in the highlight reels, unfortunately for some players, but is there any guy that just ever took you to school or just burned you so bad that it's still in your memory?
Yeah, there might be one or two.
Oh, you're not gonna give
I
a
try to
story?
forget. I try to forget about it. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay, and Barry, I got one more, and we'll do the last one here. There's so many of them. I'm sorry we can't get to all of them, but Coach Trotz, this one's for you, and it's just about winning that Stanley Cup. And they want to know what it takes and what makes a team special enough to get to that level to win everything.
Well, I think, before you win a cup, and most coaches will tell you this, most players who've won cups, you're going to fail a lot of times before you win it. You get, usually you're a young player and you win it your first time. You think it's going to happen all the time. It doesn't. You have a lot of failures on the way to that. And what I learned is that guys, when you sort of focus on the process, enjoyment of that competition, that moment, and just worry about those moments, you go further, and you don't think about the outcome. You don't think about all the other things that that distract you from your focus. And it's really when a lot of times when you lose, you look back and you were this close. If you would have hung on in that one play a couple seconds longer, it never would have happened, or you would have scored that goal. So it's really enjoying that process. It's going to be hard. You're going to take a lot of focus. You're going to need a couple breaks. And I was part of that Team Canada World Cup coaching staff, and you talk to a guy like Joe Quinville and Claude Julien and Babcock, and you say, give me the secret. I have Jacques Lemaire that works with us, and I saw Jacques at one of the breaks a few years before I even worked with him, and I said, what gets you over that hump? And they all said goalposts. We should have lost that first series, and it hit the goalpost. We went down and we scored. Jacques said to me he didn't have to play the Islanders when he was with the Devils. He says we could never beat the Islanders. And so they all had different stories, but every story went back to they should have lost, but they dug themselves out and won that game, and it just turned. And I can tell you that when we won the Cup, we lost our first two games against the Columbus Blue Jackets. I think they might have been both in overtime. We went to Columbus down 2-0, and the Caps teams had never won a series after being 0-2 in a playoff series. And we won in double overtime. I think it was Lars Eller scored or in that game. And I remember coming in to the coach's room and saying, you know what, we are going to win the Stanley Cup. And my whole coaching staff looked at me and went, you're settle down, big boy. We only won one game, And I said, no, we will win the Cup now. And it was one of those feelings. It's an intangible, but coaches and players who have won, they know that. If you haven't won it, you don't know what I'm talking about. And you have to experience, but you go through all the pain first, and then you finally break through, and then you get it. You got to stay in the fight. And I say that Ryan knows that. I use that term a lot. Stay in that fight, because you don't know how close you are to success.
And is it just the best when you just raise that thing up over your head? That beautiful.
It is everything you think it would be and more, but it's also such a relief that and everybody will say that it's everything you've won a couple thousand times playing street hockey and all that, knee hockey in the hotels for the travel teams, all that. You win the Stanley Cup, you've done it a thousand times. When it actually happens, it's almost surreal. And the cup's supposed to weigh 32 pounds. It does not weigh 32 pounds. It's light as a feather. But every emotion that you've ever had about the game, your family, players you've coached, teammates, all those things, they all come through when you lift the cup.
Yeah, it's such a special moment. The closest I will never get to do it, obviously. The closest I ever got was when my cousin Ron won in LA as an AGM, and we had the cup there, and the Hockey Hall of Fame guy said, the cup guy with the glove said, you're not allowed to raise it over your head. So I've never done it, Ryan. You've never done it, but I sure hope you get a chance to, my friend, because it's been wonderful watching you since you were a 16-year-old in Brandon. Gentlemen, I can't thank you enough. I wish you nothing but the best of luck as you head to your training camps, your hub cities, wherever those might be, and you get in that bubble. And I sure hope that, Coach Trotz, you can look at your coaching staff again and say, you know what? We're going to win the cup, and the Islanders bring it home for both you guys. We have session number 4 with Dr. Dean Pilars coming up at 8 o'clock Central. Once again, you can go to mjhlhockey.ca to donate. This is all in COVID-19 relief for the league that started Barry Trotz's coaching career, and of course, Ryan playing in the Western Hockey League. Gentlemen, nothing but the best to you. Safe travels, and please be safe. And thank you for joining us on the MJHL Roundtable.
Thank you.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Thanks so much.